Oh, hey internet, what is up? Welcome back to the Squeaky Chair channel. As usual, I can't move a goddamn inch without this thing just going off. But yes, more Tenta shooter. Going for that 1cc. Last video, we died at the final boss, or what we thought was the final boss. This time, we're going to die at the final boss. We're getting there. It's a steady crawl, you know, with our nails in our fingertips, getting ever so closer. Yeah, getting ever so closer. That's the word. What the fuck am I? What's wrong with me? To the ending of this game, getting our 1cc. Yeah, but we'll dissect the run as it goes along. These first couple levels, I feel are going to be just kind of autopilot. You know how it goes, where we've played this level enough. We've kind of locked it down. We know what's going to happen. They're not perfect. We don't find every secret, but we lock up the secrets that we've already discovered, that sort of thing. But I just noticed those were the tree hands. I was like, what the fuck are those? They look like dreadlocked baby doll heads. I'm like, oh wait a second. And I've always kind of man, I wonder if you can kill those things. And come to find out, you can't because they're this mini boss's hands, but you can kill them when you approach him. And there goes the little mini boss tree. However, I suppose it's one of those nights where I'm just gonna make noises, I guess. Yeah, the videos I had previously discussed that I worked with GameBound on, the Tenta shooter ones, to be precise, they are up on their channel. So yeah, you can search GameBound on your Google machine. You can also just take a thick, heavy object and bash it against your brain until you get the same effect, really. But no, it was a couple of fun videos to watch. I tempt myself with beating this game on somebody else's computer, which is actually, as I discussed before, kind of a interesting challenge. As well as Jim, my friend. We'll leave it at that. One of my friend who doesn't necessarily play this shit. He gave it a go, and I think that's where the entertainment is, just to see somebody who's not used to this stuff try to figure it out. And I think he does an admirable job for being a muggle in every regard. Level 1 boss. Who cares, right? We're just going to rip its wings off and then rip its head off. There's that second piece we need. And then you can kind of just, yeah. What's really great is it's going to shoot out that stinger, and then it's going to turn into a ton of bullets that we're all just going to soak up and just, yeah, huge amount of damage. Not a lot of bullet cancel, but I'm not too worried about, scoring the highest score ever. I'm just looking to fucking make it through, Can I, that's the standard I have. Can I please be just, the last person in the world to beat this game, Picking up that bonus point there if you use your counter gauge on the red bat that goes through. Just recently I discovered that, and now we're kind of adding that to our repertoire of bonus points. But yeah, I'm not looking to be the first across the finish line. In fact, I think I've already waited too long for that sort of accomplishment. I'm just looking to hobble my broke ass across the finish line at all. And I think we're getting close. We're getting close. There's a few games we're getting really close to beating. And I get really timid. As I'm sure you guys can tell, when it comes to locking down these games. It's a mindset where, it's easy to be familiar with the game and be decent at the game and go, okay, I think I could possibly beat this game. It's just a matter of do you have it in you to put the effort and the time into it to more or less play the odds until you get that perfect run where you make the right moves, and you get just enough luck where you're not in your own way, and maybe you get a couple like luck dodges, and a couple good RNG elements, and beat a couple bosses with some ease that you normally wouldn't have. And sometimes I think that sort of grind is kind of scary, where I'm just like, I just kind of want to beat the game. I don't want to know how far away I'm from, to beat the game being this close. And there's a certain element of like, I feel like if I keep playing this game, it's going to get worse. But I think that's all just bordering on like insanity than it is any sort of logic, and proper sense. But yeah, here we are, stage 2. I don't think we're going to really necessarily see a whole lot of excitement here. However, we believe we just took our first hit. I didn't see it then and I didn't see it now, but it must have been something going on. Some sort of bullet that hit us directly between the eyes that we just couldn't bother seeing. And here we are coming across the level 2 boss. Hoping to kind of rip off some of its legs as it comes down here for the first time. Readying up our Alta Fire. Worked out there, and we actually score our sort of rejuvenation gem or revive gem there. And really, as we discussed before, that's really going to be the key of our 1cc, at least at this level where we're still kind of scrubs. We're going to want to keep that on our person as absolutely long as possible, and really use that as our sort of safety net. We hope never to actually use it, sure. But, I think it's inevitable at this point to, whether that's the last boss or somewhere else, we're going to get that gem smashed. And we're going to rely on that sort of second life we got with our bonus points here. And hopefully score the 1cc on that sort of second chance. So, not giving away the gem, too soon is certainly going to be the key of things. And we can see further on, we do our best, but I think we have something missing when it comes to the end of the game. I think that's going to be pretty apparent. And I think when it comes to final bosses, I think it's a proper level, proper final boss. And, I may not have the time to discuss why that may be in this video, but I believe in further videos that we are picking up that huge point fairy there. But yeah, we'll discuss about it in further videos. Final bosses, I think I've discussed in the past, maybe not recently. I think there's a particular nuance to designing your final boss. You find a lot of times in modern games that they're sort of pretty easy. Sometimes you find the second and third to the last bosses are the hard ones. And then once you've kind of defeated the hardier challenges the game has, then it's going to give you this sort of review schmucky last boss who, just rolls over and dies because you've made it that far. I would say that's a reasonable sort of boss, although pretty anticlimactic and pretty sort of ho-hum, I would like to say that there should be a sort of review element of a final boss, but I still think there should just be it should still escalate, there should be, the final boss should be harder than all the other bosses. And not just in the fact that it's got more life gauges, you know. Certainly, I think that sort of element of surprise is there as we clear this tentacle rather quickly. Um, you know, I think leaving one element of the game you know, for the final boss, you know, I guess what I'm saying is that we're going, you know, eventually we're going to be reaching the not the final boss, but the like the true ending or the true boss, the true final boss of the game. I mean, not too uncommonly, what you'll find is that, you know, there's a certain secret boss if you are on the cusp of 1cc'ing the game. You know, previously we've been killed, you know, chose to continue the game, and we've, you know, defeated that sort of giant, you know, ugly horned, you know, demon, and saw credits. However, as we're going to see as we kind of come closer to that fight, the fairy we've been chasing this whole game is actually gets removed from that demon, and then we end up just fighting her. And as far as I can tell, she just has one, you know, one long life gauge like you see here. However, her thing is that it's lasers. It's lasers galore. So, you know, not there are some bullets to send back, but you know, it was sort of back and forth, you know, Cho-Ren Sha, you know, very fast lasers that you just have to just keep ducking back and forth. You know, maybe using your counter to avoid. And there goes the third level boss, rather simply. One of the easier ones I have ease with. Maybe she just kind of falls prey to type C easier than other forms. But yeah, you know, when we're facing the final true ending boss, a lot of lasers, and it's a lot of movement back and forth. And you know, as much as I'd like to just hold the counter button and send everything back, you know, you can't send back the lasers. Picking up that 1,000 point there, or was it probably a 10,000 point there? But either way, good stuff. You know, we can't really send back the lasers. We just have to kind of either protect ourselves with the counter or just keep moving. But you know, it's, you know, we find that we're kind of playing on you know, playing on an empty tank, and yeah, we'll examine it slightly as we get there, but yeah, it's, I don't think too many other bosses use the laser mechanic and how sort of your strategy is to deal with them as much. You know, a lot of these bosses and enemies just spew, you know, gobs and gobs of bullets at you, you know, and maybe different styles, you know, like that snake boss hits you with this giant stinger. You also avoid that, but otherwise it's just all bullets, you know, or, you know, the spider boss that tries to hit you with this giant web of bullets, you know, sure. Not too many of the bosses just, you know, shoot like, you know, a cluster of like shooting stars at you. So, you know, it's kind of, you know, it's not so much of a review, but it is kind of, it's pretty cool. I think I like that sort of, you know, it is the ultimate test. You know, you've gone through 5 stages of just, you know, bullet craziness and bullet countering. So, you know, not to say throw the rest of the 5, you know, levels out of the way and say, okay, now you have to deal with lasers, but we have been dealing with lasers the whole game in small amounts. So, you know, what if a whole boss, if not the final boss, was kind of, you know, a bit more rude and wasn't necessarily just playing to your advantage, you know? And we'll see that there's some attacks that are giant clouds of bullets. So it really is kind of, you know, use our counter gauge as sparingly and as absolute possible and get on those bullet clouds because, you know, defending ourselves with the counter gauge is a strategy, but I think it's not one that really pays you back. You know, you use your counter gauge, it's where it's at, and it slowly recovers from there. You know, at least if we're using it on a giant cloud of bullets, you know, it's going to recover. As you can see here, watch. There you go. As we shoot an enemy with countered bullets and they die, we get these sort of large fruit that fills our gauge back up. So, in a way, you know, using our counter gauge in this form, you know, is this sort of symbiotic, you know, it's offense and defense at the same time, and it kind of, you know, it secures a lot of different aspects of the game for us. Whereas if we were just worried about not getting hit in certain areas by, you know, by lasers or what have you, you know, that strategy only has, you know, so many, you know, so many legs to stand on, I suppose. There we go, coming across level 4's boss. Getting hit there a little. That's a little. I was like, I really thought I cleared everything, but no. Got sort of sucker punched there at the end. What's tricky about this boss is how close she is to you. You know, not the wildest or the most complicated of patterns, but she's right on top of you. And that's where, you know, you get these sort of sporadic counters, or attempts to counter. But, you know, you do have to kind of, you do have to dodge her, and you do have to kind of look at your counter gauge. Not the prettiest fight, but we do make it through with our sort of red gem there. So, you know, although we got hit 5 times there, you know, whatever, you know. So I'm pretty satisfied with that moving forward to the final level here. And we're hoping even to extend this, you know, red gem absolutely as far as we can. You know, sometimes I think, you know, I have to remind myself, you know, don't forget to dodge, as silly as it is. You know, like there's going to be parts of the game where you're going to have to, you know, think on your feet and make some clutch dodges. You know, with Type C, you know, you're almost playing a different game. You know, you're looking at your counter gauge. You know, you're looking at these pink bullets, and you're making sure that you're, you know, running into bullets and killing things. You know, that, as weird as that sounds. You know, especially like that boss we just went against. You know, where our counter gauge is a little exhausted. You know, you kind of have to remind yourself, like, you know, like we have to go to Plan B and actually consider dodging some of these patterns. That asshole comes down, crash, hits us with her for a point of damage there. One of the larger pains in the ass is this mini boss here. Again, for no other reason, because he's so close. But taken care of rather quick. However, we're hoping to kind of recover the damage we took for him. I don't think it's going to be too difficult, but this level in particular, all its enemies fire quick. You know, so as you can see, you know, a lot of stuff to counter if you can quickly react to it. But it looks like, as we were just kind of discussing it, we are healed from the damage we took. And I suppose at this point where we're not necessarily like looking to dethrone anyone for their high score, that's perfectly acceptable by our standards right now. You know, we got our red gem, we got no damage, so, you know, all is right in the world, sort of thing. coming pretty close to another sort of tricky bout here. A couple enemies that we don't necessarily see a lot of are now going to show up here at the end of the game. You know, a lot of bosses, or not a lot of these enemies we've seen before. You know, these sort of swirling, you know, flowers or what have you. Like, oh sure, we've seen these. Bats, of course. Yeah, sure. It's going to be enemies that show up rather quick. Or rather soon, is I suppose the correct word to say that. That's going to be sort of tellers of the future, I suppose. If we need a sort of dramatic term for it. Exhausted our counter gauge kind of recklessly there, and we're seeing how we're punished when we're using it. When we use it sort of mistakenly, you know. So here we are, these guys we're talking about, trying to kill those little floating balls around him as quick as we can. And there we go, taking care of the little floaties. Trying to stay away from the giant fuck you lasers. Using the counter to kind of get out of the lasers there, it's sort of a bad idea, because now we're on our back foot, unable to take advantage of much. However, kind of squeaking by. These big tubes here, rather easy, but still you want to kind of keep a mindful eye of what's going on here. You certainly want to line yourself up, get real close to the yellow node, but also you want to watch out for these sort of uncounterable bullets that come out as well. So there's the enemy fairy, I suppose. Final boss. I pull back a little bit just so we don't get jumped and we don't get surprised with a hit of damage. Easily being able to crawl forward when we need to. So there goes the first form again, kind of pulling back. So we're not surprised with damage. Exhausted our counter gauge like a fool. I'm now kind of playing it from a distance. Sort of lucked out there, and now we got our counter gauge back up to good. Just kind of like just what we saw previously in that stage, how to take care of one of those, and did so. So, I mean, we're looking at no damage. We got our gem. We got the final stage of the boss here. Sadly, we just kind of sort of did away with our counter gauge. However, kind of in a safe zone there between our bosoms. We defeated her, however, revealing the true ending boss here. So yes, here we are, lasers back and forth. And I'm using the counter to avoid it, even though there are a select number. You know, it's not an infinite amount of lasers. I shouldn't be using them. So there goes our gem. We are now on our final life. And these are some giant clusters that we begin to take on, but there it is. Death. A bit smothering, you know, and a bit disappointing considering we only did maybe what, a fifth of her life. So we're gonna have to you know, check out this video again, figure out what we're doing wrong, and hopefully, you know, fix that and come back and finish this game off once and for good. But yeah, that's gonna be it for this video. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a like, leave a comment, do all that stuff, and we'll come back and play some more Tenta shooter in the future.